Good morning, dear students. Today we are going to see a topic called data models from advanced database management system. First we are going to see what is a data model, some information related to the data model, as well as we are going to see different categories of the data model. What is a data model? A data model is a set of concepts to describe the structure of a database and the operation for manipulating these structures and certain constraints that the database should obey. So what is the structure of a database? The structure of a database can be defined as the design of a database. It specifies what data should be stored, how, what are the types of data to be stored, what is the size of the data, that is the structure of a database. And what type of operation can be performed on the structure of the database is also can be specified in the data model. What is a constraint? Certain rules that has to obey when you design a database or when you enter the contents of a database, certain constraints has to be obeyed. Okay, that is called as a constraint of a database. Okay. Then, what is a data model structure? Okay, so the structure consists of the data type, data name, and constraints used to define the database structure. Constraints typically include elements and the data types as well as group of elements, entity, record table, and relationship among such groups. Constraints also specify some restrictions on the valid data. This constraint must be enforced at all the times whenever you use the database. Then we are going to see what are the operations can be used using the database. Okay. The operation that are used for specifying database are the retrievals, updates by referring to the constraints of the data model. The operation data model may include the basic model operations like generic insert operations, delete operations, update operations, and user-defined operations. For example, what are the user-defined operations? Suppose if you want to calculate your annual salary, or you want to calculate GPA, or you want to calculate the total amount by multiplying rate and the number of products. That is a user-defined operations. So in a database, you may have a defined self-defined constraints, self-defined operation, as well as self-defined operations, as well as user-defined operations also will be available. Next part is what are the different categories of the data models. We have data models can be categorized into four types. First one is called as a conceptual data model. Second one is a physical data model and implementation data model, and last one is called as a self-describing data models. What is a conceptual model? The conceptual model can also be called as a high-level semantic data models. It provides the concepts that are close to the way many users perceive the data. Okay. It is also called as a entity-based or object-based data models. So the ER model can be called as a conceptual model where you are going to see the logical design of the database. The physical model is can be called as a low-level model or it can be called as an internal data model. This model provides basic concepts which describe the details how data is stored in the computer or in the storage. Okay. Normally, these are specified in ad hoc manner through DBMS design and administration manuals or by the database administrator. The third model is called as the implementation model or representation data models. These are the traditional data models used by many commercial DBMS implementation. This can be further classified into three types. First one is called as a relational data model. Second one is called as a network data model, and third one is called as a hierarchical data model. So now network model and hierarchical model are not widely used, but we are currently using the relational data model. Most of the database application what we use or the commercially available in the market is called as a relational data model, and it is a very simple data model where data is classified as rows and columns, whereas hierarchical model is based on the tree structure, whereas network model is based on the graph pointers. Then the last model is called as a self-describing data models. Nowadays, the latest version of data models does not have no need to maintain the normalization. For example, NoSQL system. This differs from the normal data model to a new advanced data models where it is easy to implement. There's no way of traditional way of disturbing the nature database. Now, these four models are the different categories of the data models. Okay, once I can revise what we have seen so far. What is a data model? Then what are the information related data model and different categories of the data model? Thank you.